So the MCU is at a relative standstill at this point, which is with all the major franchises these days. But I haven't really covered any Marvel stuff for a while, so I thought I'd talk about the next Spider-Man movie in the MCU because we do have a bit of news surrounding the movie. So this is about some news that has come out relatively recently. So I'll just start by saying the movie has obviously been delayed due to the current state of the world. It's been delayed to December 2021. I can't remember what exact date, but I think it was the 18th. So this is probably the second Spider-Man movie we're getting during December, and obviously the previous one was Into the Spider-Verse. I really enjoyed that movie though, that was very good. Anyway, so the biggest news is the villains for the movie will reportedly be Scorpion and Kraven the Hunter, which in my mind sounds amazing. Scorpion was of course teased in Homecoming's end credit scene, and Kraven's appearance is cool because Kraven the Hunter hasn't actually appeared in any live action MCU stuff. Of course a lot of people have provided their own fan casting choices, including Jeffrey Dean Morgan as one possible option. That would actually be really cool. I touched upon Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing potentially Thomas Wayne in a Flash movie video, but obviously that has since been debunked, so yeah. Anyway, this is going to be cool for Kraven because he hasn't really appeared in any live action stuff on screen. He didn't appear in any of the Raimi films, didn't even appear in the Amazing Spider-Man films, and at the time of recording he hasn't appeared in any of the MCU films, although I hope he'll appear in this one. So how do Scorpion and Kraven fit into the movie? Well, I'm going to go over some stuff from Spider-Man Far From Home, so I'll issue a spoiler warning here. At the end of Far From Home, Mysterio publicly outed Spider-Man's identity, so it's likely that Scorpion and Kraven are going to be coming after Spider-Man, and presumably they could come after Vulture, given that Adrian Toomes found out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So where's this film going to pick up? I think we will see a considerable passage of time since Spider-Man 3, with possible hints in the Disney Plus shows hinting at things to come in the film. At the time of recording, none of the Disney Plus shows have officially been released, at least those that are set in the MCU. Hopefully we could get maybe a subtle tease to what's happening. So where is it going to pick up? Again, considerable passage of time. A time jump would be pretty cool. And while it would be cool to see Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. get involved, well, Sword, I guess these days, I'm not really sure if we're going to want to see Nick Fury and Sword for a second time in Spider-Man films. This is a Spider-Man centric story. We don't want other characters like, say, Bucky Barnes or Captain America, the Falcon version of course, or Doctor Strange stealing the spotlight. Although it would be cool to see another MCU hero potentially cameo or actually have a role in the film. There have been rumours for quite a while now that Daredevil could return, potentially as Peter Parker's lawyer, because he was of course framed for the murder of Mysterio, Spider-Man that is. And some other rumours are also pointing to Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, which will also possibly tie into the She-Hulk Disney Plus show that's coming out, and that would be really cool. Anyway, Peter's probably had to go underground with some possible help from either Nick Fury or Bucky Barnes, since they have some experience in that area. So, how will Scorpion and Kraven pose an actual threat to Spider-Man? Well, for one thing, Kraven has been described as the world's greatest hunter, which means he's quite dangerous. Quick side note, apparently the studio, that being Sony or Disney, are apparently looking for a Joel Kinnaman type actor to actually play Kraven in the film. Of course, the guy from Homecoming would return as Scorpion, so again, nothing too special there. Another question that's actually been asked is whether Mysterio will appear, because a lot of people have been theorising that Mysterio didn't actually die, but rather he faked his death to frame Peter. So, should Mysterio appear in the movie? I'm gonna say no, because Mysterio already had the spotlight as the main villain in Far From Home. Although, I personally think it would be cool to put him in, say, an end credit scene, especially if he comes back for, say, a Sinister Six plot at some point down the line, because after Spider-Man 3, we'll have at least a couple of villains on the big screen. For one thing, we've got Shocker and the Vulture from Homecoming, we've got Mysterio from Spider-Man Far From Home, and now we're probably going to get Scorpion and Kraven, so that's 5 out of the Sinister Six. And some people have, I believe, been theorising that Otto Octavius is going to show up in the Morbius movie, and again, unsure if the Sonyverse and the MCU are connected. I have a video coming out on that soon. I haven't actually been able to record it yet because it's not really out of the writing stage yet. And actually, speaking of the Sinister Six, let's make sure we don't have another Amazing Spider-Man 2 situation, where they're just sending up the Sinister Six for another movie rather than focusing on the main storyline in the film. While I'd love if the MCU sets up the Sinister Six, do it subtly with some Easter eggs throughout the movie. Like Kraven saying, I met a guy with these biomechanical arms, which could be a reference to Dr. Octopus, which could place him in the MCU. Since I'm talking about end credit scenes, what could we actually expect? I think we could expect some kind of tie-in to another Spider-Man character, which again could tie the MCU and the Sonyverse. Perhaps a cameo from, say, Venom or Carnage or Morbius, and that could tie the MCU together. And just a quick thing, if there's somehow a fourth Spider-Man MCU film, which is most likely going to happen at some point in the future, we could see the Sinister Six there, and maybe at some point we could see Spider-Man and Venom team up to take down Carnage. At the time of recording, Venom 2 has not been released yet, so for those of you who are probably watching this in June 2021, don't at me, this video was recorded in 2020. That's for the people in the future. Anyway, that's all for today. Are you excited for Spider-Man's third MCU movie? Man, Tom Holland's doing better than Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. He's appeared in way more movies than those two did. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you guys like what you saw, then don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. See you soon.